Hi guys, welcome to my YouTube channel. I really hope you've been enjoying my videos so far, and if you're new to my channel, make sure you do consider subscribing. And in this video, we are going to be looking at this SaaS project video that I've worked on, and the video you just watched now, that's the project breakdown I'm going to be doing. Actually, in the comment section in the previous video, somebody said, can you do a SaaS project breakdown? And I'm like, okay, no worries, and that's exactly what I'm doing. So this is just to let you know that I actually do pay attention to the comment section, so make sure you do drop a comment. And if you can do this for me, for everyone watching right now, just drop a comment, even if it's just a word or something. Just drop a comment. This will really help my videos to get more reach. And also, I'm also trying to hit 5,000 subscribers before the end of the year. So please, if you can, subscribe and also send to people that will most likely need this to subscribe as well. And lastly, the project files will be in the link in the description. Make sure you do get it. If you do get it, you'll be supporting me to do more videos like this, and I really appreciate you for that. All right, without taking so much of your time, let's get into the video. So let's just start from the same one. So by double click this, and I'm just going to go down here and then solo how I get to achieve the background. So I have a solid background, right? It's very subtle. You guys will see that in a bit, but the most obvious ones here are these ones here. Basically what I did was really simple. If I solo this now, so basically what I did here was to have a solid and then draw a mask. So this is the mask here, and if I say none, so this is the solid that I have here. So if I click on the mask and added marks, and then I feather it quite a lot. Of course, I duplicated it and then changed the color, and also added fast box blur to blend this really well. This is an adjustment layer on top of the background. So basically I just wanted to have the colors animated. So basically all I did was to add a turbulence display, then tweak the settings, and of course added an expression to the evolution times 500, and all that would do is just keep moving the entire scene here. So for this one, light leaks is actually very subtle. If I double click this, basically what I did here was, there was a project that I worked on and I was able to achieve this blended gradient. Basically what I've been doing is to reuse. You can easily do this too if you also use a plugin. There's something called my packs. So if I type in my packs, let me put it here, and it's under purchased. So what this would do is you can actually save some animation you've done in the past. Like these are some of the projects I've done in the past. See, I have some element. This is something I did for one brand, and I know that I'm going to try and reuse these ones in the future. So I store all of them here, and then I can easily just import them whenever I need them. For instance, if I need this text, for instance, I can just, let me just go back to this scene. Let's say I need this text here. I can just come here and then click on this download button here. I do that, can you see that it's added the text for me? This is something that I did in the past, and you know, you can just easily take advantage of this, something like this. You store your already made animation. Whenever you need it, you can just have access to it, and you can always reuse them. So that's basically what I did. So this is the one that I imported. I highly recommend you guys to check this out. It's really good. So I'm just going to close this and then delete this. So that's how I was able to import this particular comp here, because I've worked on it in the past. And basically these are just shape layers. They're all 3D, and then animated the rotation. They're all attached to null here. So as you can see, this null is making it rotate. So it's actually quite interesting. And then the first adjustment layer is the transform to make it smaller. The second one is the fast box blur to blend everything all together, and this is what I get. And then I always reuse this for my light leaks for anything. So that's how I was able to achieve this background. Basically, let me check this. So this is a chart. This is like a forex chart, because it's very related to what I'm doing. So by double click this, basically I did all of this in Illustrator, created all of this, and then basically this is how it looked like in Illustrator, and then I just imported them here. And then all I did was to now animate the comp. I used linear wipe, and then also added some Gaussian blur to it to just make it blurry towards this point. That's basically all I did. And then the text, so here I added this typewriter animation to it. So that's what it's typing here. If I click U, but I didn't want this to be the same color, like the typewriter thing here, to be the same color with this. So basically all I did was to now draw my own shape layer and then if you noticed, it's actually blending well with it. It's covering it up. You can see this because I'm hovering over it, but it's actually very fast. So if I play it now, this is what I have. You can see how fast it is. And also, I think in the final video, I think I actually deactivated the cursor. So if I uncheck this, right, so I just use it as a guide basically. So this is basically what I did in the final video, and I just go straight to the next scene. So let's introduce the next scene. So basically combination of all of that, then to this scene. If you see all this caution icon, right, how did I get to achieve them? This is it here, and it's actually quite simple the way I achieve it. First is the shape, which is the triangle, and I added CC light sweep. Without CC light sweep, this is what I have. With CC light sweep, that just changed the entire color because I haven't changed the color of the light color to be red. Then of course I have this exclamation mark here. Deep glow. Let me just delete that. So basically all I did here was to add a preset called Broadway. So let me give you the name of the preset is called Broadway, and it's actually text preset. So if I come here and then click this and search for Broadway presets, so you can see what it's doing. So that's exactly what I added to the exclamation mark. That's why it's flickering, and the beautiful thing about that is I can change the adjustment, how much flicker that I want it to be and all of that. So that's how I get to achieve that. And then just put them in 3D space. Check out all of this. Can you see that I put them in 3D space? Make sure there's a form of parallax going on here. So let me just reduce this to a quarter so that we can be able to move fast. So you can see this is just a parallax animation. So you can see that this is the position is now zooming in. All of these are actually staggered in Z space. So if I can show you that so if I zoom out, you can see all of this scattered in Z space here. So and that is what is giving that depth. You can see the camera and that was giving that depth. That's how I get to achieve that. So let me switch back to one view, go back to this. And then switching to this next scene here, so basically I wanted the transition from this next scene to the next one. So I can see that it's going up, and as it's going up, because it is in 3D, so it's giving that parallax view. And of course I use my match cut like I always do to the next scene, and then I now introduce these other scenes here. So let me activate some of this. So let me quickly show you how I get to achieve this background hedge thing, right? And I think that's like one of the most interesting thing here. So basically I stack some effects, and it's just 3 effects. I can just highlight everything and uncheck this and then solo this. Yeah, if I play this is what I have. Can you see that it's moving all around? Very interesting. So basically let's break this down. So I think the first thing I had was, so basically CC light sweep, and I changed the mode to cutout. So normally by default it to be hard, so that means to be showing this, it's already giving some kind of glass effect, but I want it to be cut out, and that's what is giving me this. I tweaked some things, and of course I also animated the direction of the light. If you see this, you can see that I added an expression to the direction, which is practically the rotation, right? And that's why it keeps rotating on the side. So let me uncheck this. So that's why it keeps rotating on the side. So that's what is making it rotate. Then of course I added 4 color gradients without the CC light sweep. So this is the 4 color gradient that I added to it, different colors. But with the CC light sweep, it's not bringing out the color, right, which is really interesting. And of course I added deep glow so that it can really bring that out. That's basically how I get to achieve that. And of course I think the rest is just pretty simple. Use a text preset for this, for the 40%, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, that's practically what I did. And also I added mask to the text so that it can give me this depth underneath. So let me change this back to half. It gives it this depth without the mask. So if I change this to none, this is what I have, but with the mask, that's what I have. And I just feather it a little bit, and then added my text preset from Creative Jojo Number Plus. I've talked about this in my previous video. It's actually quite simple to do number counting like this. And then basically I think that's like the very first scene. Of course the text are just animating in it, just simple position animation. And if you know quite well, always going to try and cut to the next scene. Okay, yes, so this is where I did the animation to cut into the next scene. So I wanted to scale down. So as it snaps to this point, the next thing is introduce, which is this. And this is the logo animation that I did for the brand. And it's actually quite easy, it's quite straightforward, no big deal. So basically just position animation in this space. Right, this is it here. Position animation in this space, right? So basically I just, is in PNG, so I just cut them out and then marks them out and then added this color animation. So if I press U, you can see the fill color and how it's changing. I use hold keyframe for this, and basically that's all I did for everything. And then the last thing was just the eye, the dots, which is this. I just make sure that it bounces, it gives me that bounciness. So I like this and go to my keyframes. This is how I applied my value graph to give me that bounce. I'm pretty sure that is clear. Of course, the background is changing the main command. Then of course I snapped this one, and then here is where we have the phone. The phone I didn't have to, because I have like some packs that I normally use to make my job really easy. So for this one I use Motion Bro. So for this, I go straight to the device, and then you can see some of the device that I can already use here. More stripped down version of a laptop or of a desktop, but I don't think I use any of this here. I think the one that I used was in this pack, if I'm not mistaken, or maybe of this one. The devices, miscellaneous or rigged model. So these are like some rigged product that you can use that are ready to go, right? So this just makes my job really easy. So I actually use one of these phones for me to do what I needed to do, and yeah, that's basically how I get to use the phones. And from there I just change the screens, of course animated the screen as well. So I did some form of anticipation and overshoot. So I make sure it moves to the left because I wanted to go to the right eventually. I wanted to go to the left eventually rather. Then make sure it rotates to the side, and then cut straight to this scene here with the text amid chaos, and cut straight to this. So you can see that simple animation, just anticipation and overshoot, right, to really introduce this chaos. And how did I get to achieve this chaos? So first of all, I actually arranged the text. So yes, so this is the chaos text. So this is basically how I arrange it. I just did scale, animation, and overshoot, but the ones that actually brought about the real chaos are this text. And this is actually quite easy and quite simple. It's just a text preset called explosion. Let me show you where you can get that. You can come here, go to text presets, and then go to presets rather, then go to text, and then you go to, I think, mechanical. So I think it's in miscellaneous, but open this up, explode out. So this is the text preset. If you apply this is what you're going to get. And it was really quite fun applying this, and it works well for what I want. Though I needed to do some tweak to make sure that it make a whole lot of sense for what I'm doing. So, and I duplicated some text even with the same preset. So basically that's how I get to do it. And of course I added deep glow, the color, added deep glow, animated the exposure so that it can really emphasize on that explosion. And then you combine all of this together, and this is what we are going to have. So if I play this now, and then we are going straight to the next scene, which is this. So I did, of course, match cuts to this point, introducing clarity exists. And if you see my text, you can see that I actually have all the letters separate, because for me, I actually do prefer having so much control on the letters. I know that there are some really great text presets. I'm actually quite good with animators, but sometimes I just feel like, separating this text one at a time is really good, because I make use of a script that make me separate all my text really easily, and it's called Text Exploder. So this is the Text Exploder. So if I select the text and I put it in characters, it will separate all of them for me at once. And with this, you don't need to worry about expression or anything like that. It does a perfect job. So this is what I've been using to just give me that much control, and that's why you have so many text animation here, right? And basically, if you check, these are just simple position animation. And for this clarity, I added echo. Is it echo or cartoon mode blur? One of the two. Let me just confirm. So I added cartoon mode blur. Cartoon mode blur is basically echo, right? But with more functions, right? With echo, you will still achieve the same thing that I've done here. So to give it that really draggy effect. And then the exit is just simple text animation, just real overshoot. And I think I use the motion tools for the elastic here, so to give me that overshoot. Basically, if I double click on this, I don't use this all the time, but for some really straightforward thing that I really want to do, I definitely use it. So that's basically how I get to achieve this. And of course, I scale in the background where let me see. So this is the background that I use, and I use I changed the blend mode to stencil alpha. So even though it's on top of the entire composition, it's really more, because of the blend mode, the kind of blend mode is just making sure that everything else that is not within the circle does not show. So, and that's how I get to able to go into my next scene. So with this, I just, can you see, have this go this way. So there is just position and scale animation, right? I needed to do some tweaking with the positioning, right? So I needed to make use of these handles to really get what I really want, to give that, to give it a little bit of depth. Cut straight to the next scene. So let's go there. And then this is the next scene. You can see, so you guys already know I get to achieve the background already. So we are going to start from here. So yeah, here's the next scene. And I think I'm just going to, so I've soloed the chart. So basically, I just did like a glass effect. If you don't know how to do glass effect, there's a lot of tutorials out there, but I'll show you how I get to achieve mine. There's really nothing much to it. I didn't do something really complicated with mine. So the very first thing is this one here. And here I have, if I open this up, I have a layer style. I want to be sure I'm opening the right thing. Okay, I think this is it. Okay. Yeah, so here I have layer styles, bevel and emboss. Make sure that my highlight is normal. My shadow, I left that multiply. And then one other thing that I did was to go to blend mode, advanced blending, reduce my opacity. So if I increase this is what I have. So if I reduce the opacity, this is what I have. So I reduced to about 2. Because of the bevel and emboss, that's why we have these details, right? I added drop shadow as well, but you cannot see the effect of that because that's the only thing I'm showing, right? And then this is the glass, and then right below it is just a normal shape which I use as my matte for my adjustment layer. So this is my adjustment layer. So underneath I just have a tint, and which is white, and I reduce it to about 8%, and I added Gaussian blur to it. So anything underneath this is going to be reflecting. So let me try and bring in something so you guys can see this as an example. So I'll go to my stills here, and okay, let me just, I think I did some snapshots. So I just wanted to make sure that I want to pick something that will be very clear. So let me drop this here underneath. This is what I have, and this is underneath the glass effect, right? So this is basically how it looks like. And basically I animated this image. Where is it? I think this is the image. Let me see. So I animated it. So I tinted the image, which is practically the same color, but I animated the amount of tint. So when it gets to this point, it reveals the image. And if I press U, this is basically what I have with the amount, with the position animation, which is in Y axis. So if I show you my graph, this is what I have here. Really interesting. And then every other thing is just quite straightforward. It's just simple position animation. And then here, this is how I get to do the transition, right? If you can look underneath here, this is where I have my transition. This is where I have my light background. So I double click this. Basically, this is very similar to, maybe not so similar, right? But basically, this is just background with a whole lot of gradients. So I adjust this a little bit so you guys can see the effect. So basically, I added 4 color gradients, and I added curves to make it dark, and also added another one on top. And this time around, there is no 4 color gradient, but the curves is also added. And of course, what I did basically is to reduce the opacity to make it a little bit darker. So that's basically how I get to achieve the background there. So, and then basically the transition here is just simple circle scale animation, and I also added turbulence display so that it won't look like so sharp at the edge, and of course added fast box flow, and that's what gives me this transition. So that's how I get to achieve that. Every other thing works really well. So let me show you how I get to achieve this AI thing here. So this is it. So if I double click this is what I have. I got this from the Figma file, and I was just able to animate. Basically, all I was doing was just to rotate the shapes inside the circle, and basically that's basically all I did. And of course, make sure I formatted all these shapes are formatted into the main ellipse. Basically, yeah, Gaussian blur was added to have this glow thing around it. I also added rotation animation here to re-emphasize my animation, and that's basically what happened here. So, and the rest of this is just really simple. So if you notice, I have this thing going on around. It's the same concept that I did for the time counter that I showed you earlier in the previous scene. So let me just quickly show you again so that you guys can see what I'm doing. So this is the second bubble. So let me just solo all of this. Yeah, so basically this first one under is just a basic shape with a drop shadow. Then the one on top is the one with the light, and as you can see, it's just going all around because the frame is so short, so you can't see it going all around. But basically I added drop shadow, it wasn't there, so let me just delete that. So CC light sweep with the animated direction here, and I also added deep glow. So, and of course, when you had CC light sweep, make sure it's on cutout so it can just be there. And I think I also changed the blend mode. Oh, I didn't even change the blend mode. It's supposed to be like hard so that it can really bring that out, but I think it's better on normal actually. That really works so well. And then of course this is the message here, and I attach everything to a null and just do some position scale animation basically. So that's how I get to achieve this particular scene. And then going to the other scenes, coming here, this is where I just do match cut to this next scene, and let me uncheck this. So this is where I have all these other UI elements. These are just simple scaling animation. All these UI elements are gotten from the client's Figma. So these are just simple scaling animation, basically, nothing much to it. And then of course, I also make sure that it gives me that parallax look. So when I did this, I needed to make sure that all of them are also, going up in parallax. And if you notice, I didn't even do 3D here, and that's because I make use of a script called Swiss Knife from Motion Design School. Guys, I will strongly advise you try and get some script that will make you work faster. We are at the points in our industry where speed is of utmost importance. So yeah, with this you can quickly create 2D, 3D. I've actually showed this in my previous video, but I can show you guys again. So with this, you can quickly create parallax with 3D. That's the one with camera, but with 2D, that's the one without camera. So basically what I did was, when I duplicated all this asset here, and I split them and I brought them here. So for this one, I just highlight everything, click on this, and then it created a null for me. You can see the null. This is the parallax here. And then with this, if you just do simple position animation, it makes it looks 3D, right? So which is really nice. Yeah, that's it for that. And go straight to the next scene. You guys know how I get to achieve the background there with the text, just the text with mask. Yeah, with the mask in there. Then of course I just parented all of them to a null so that it can move to the side and then show me the next one, which is the trade. And if you notice here, at first the trade was like dull, like the color was not up, until this line comes in and then gives me that particular look, right? And then what I use for the lines is just simple stroke animation basically. Where is the stroke animation? Okay, here, this is stroke animation. So let me select this. So dark background. Yeah, so this is just simple rectangle thing that I have here. And then of course I also have a line. And then what I did was I format it to this so that this can now reveal it to where I want it to be basically. If I do this, right, so if you see this, you can see that it's cutting off, and then as soon as it cut off, get to this point, I use that scale animation to do some anticipation and overshoots, and then skips back to this next scene here. And this is actually quite simple. So by just going here, basically I just have all the apps. So by solo this, can you see this? I just have this going up and down. So I double click this. So basically I just have this big composition where I stack all the UI element together, and I just did some offset animation all around it. And if I go back, you can see that I did some it's in 3D, so it's coming from the Z space back down. And of course I added some background with reduced opacity to make sure that it's not contrasting with the main thing I really want to show. And I also added adjustment layer with Gaussian blur to blur it out, so it gives me that depth of field. So by uncheck this is what I have all together. And of course you guys know I get to achieve this already, and that's basically what I did here as well. Just cut straight to this, to the last scene here. And these are just simple position animation with the text. So let me do half, make sure that this is like this. So these are just simple position animation with deep glow animated on it. So the client insisted that needed this particular frame because it wasn't there before. And of course, cut straight to this particular one, which I've already done before, and I added this text under, and cut straight to these as well. And we have the app, practically all I've done from the beginning, just showing you again. And then I have this join the movement right from the side. So this is how I get to achieve this. If you think maybe I was going too fast and maybe I missed some things, I would advise you get the project files and then you're able to learn more. Right? Thank you. I really hope you do enjoy that. If you do, kindly let me know in the comment section and I'll be happy to respond to that. And also the project files will be in the link in the description. Make sure you do check it out. If you feel like maybe I went too fast or there's some things I didn't explain well, I would advise you get the project files. If you do get project files, you'll be supporting me, for me to create more videos like this, and I really appreciate that. So make sure you do check that out. And don't go yet. I'm pretty sure YouTube is going to suggest any of my videos to you, so make sure you do check that out as well. All right guys, till next time, see you.